Conor McGregor walked into this Irish pub offering the customers a free round of shots from his whiskey brand, but this old man refused and Conor didn't like that. He proceeded to once again serve the old man a shot of whiskey, and after refusing it a second time, Conor waited until the old man turned his back and sucker punched him. Yet that's not even the most controversial UFC moment in this video, because this UFC fighter also attacked the fan. You see, while most fans were reaching their hands out to shake hands with Arman, one of these fans actually tried to punch the fighter, making Arman retaliate with punches of his own, causing him to be suspended for 9 months, charged $25,000, and forced to record an anti-bullying PSA in the near future. But one of the biggest bullies in the UFC was Muhammad Mokaev, an undefeated fighter that threw his entire career away because he couldn't stop getting into fights backstage. He even convinced his opponent during fight week to take a picture together, just for Mokaev to then immediately sucker punch him and knock his opponent out cold, just days before their actual fight. But Mokaev didn't stop there, as he went on to continue causing chaos everywhere from the face-off, all the way up to the walkout. And he even got caught cheating during the fight, not once, but several times, starting with a clear groin shot. Then after getting caught in a submission, Mokaev pulled on his opponent's shorts, forcing him to release the submission. But even after getting yelled at by the referee, Mokaev continued cheating by poking his opponent in the eyes and attempting to sucker punch him as he was blinded, and eye-poking his opponent again to escape another submission attempt. Dana White was so upset with these antics, including the backstage drama, that he decided to fire Mokaev that same night during the press conference.
He's not under contract anymore.
But would you be interested in, keeping him around in the fall?
I think the PFL is going to get a great undefeated guy. Good luck to him.
Dana White's not afraid to fire anyone, including his own commentators, just like Dan Hardy, who after working with the UFC as part of their British commentating team, had a public altercation with referee Herb Dean, stemming from a fight where Dan Hardy deemed that the referee was putting a fighter at risk by having not stopped the fight sooner, causing Dan to take matters into his own hands by doing what no other commentator had ever done, yelling at a referee.
It's not over. Come on! It's not over.
Stop the fight! That's two times now. Knocked him completely off balance. He's not full punches there. Hands are up. He's covered. He does not want any more shots in that moment. That's terrible.
Herb Dean then approached Hardy, debating on whether the stoppage was late or not. But that's not even the peak of the controversy. You see, according to Dana White, Dan Hardy was fired for allegedly verbally mistreating a female employee, an accusation which Hardy has cleared up as false and just a disagreement between two co-workers, leaving many to believe that the real reason Dan Hardy was fired was due to a personal beef between Hardy and Dana.
I don't give a what anybody thinks, and I definitely don't give a what Dan Hardy thinks. Dan Hardy's a guy that was mistreating a woman who worked here, and that's why he was fired.
Yet fighters like Jon Jones have gotten away with way worse and still remain in Dana's good graces.
Put two guys in a room, and who comes out? Jon Jones walks out of that room every time.
You throw Jon Jones in a room with anybody, Jon Jones walks out of the room.
Two guys get locked in a room. Who's walking? Jon Jones all day, every time.
And he's the pound for pound best fighter in the world.
Because during UFC 232, Jon Jones tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs just days before the fight, causing the Nevada Athletic Commission to remove Jon's permission to fight in Nevada. But instead of removing Jon from the main event, Dana White decided to relocate dozens of fighters, employees, and thousands of fans that had already purchased tickets from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, a state where Jon Jones would be granted the permission to fight that week, causing a logistical nightmare for the fighters.
I'm a bit disappointed it's going to cost all of us. I don't think it's going to cost Jon Jones much, but
So I'm just like, really? For one person, it is a bit of a bummer going from a state with no tax to a state that does have significant tax. I've fought in California before, and it does take a significant chunk out of that paycheck.
If you test positive, you're positive. Other fighter tested positive and were away for a while, for less amount. So there's a lot of questions around this.
You believe Jon Jones is a clean fighter?
No, I don't.
This isn't even the only time that Jones ruined an event, because just 2 years prior, he had tested positive for a significant amount of steroids just days before his fight again, ruining his long-awaited fight against Daniel Cormier.
Come on. Oh, man, it's so hard.
I know, I'm so sorry.
But Daniel Cormier has been involved in several controversies himself, starting with Towel Gate, where after suffering through a tough weight cut, Daniel wasn't able to reach the weight limit on his initial weigh-in attempt. So just a few moments later, Daniel returned with no clothes and appeared to have used the towel to shed off the necessary weight.
And now Daniel Cormier is back and made weight. How did that happen?
A claim which he refused immediately after.
The towel was
What
why
is it-
you
what
made
is- what is-
weight.
what is doing that do? I don't understand. It's not something I've done before, you know, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't show my junk.
Did you push down on that towel?
What? Was there a towel? I was naked behind the towel and my mind was fuzzy. So I don't really remember.
And it wasn't until years later when during his Hall of Fame induction speech, Daniel exposed the truth about Towelgate.
I want to tell you something. I think I may have grabbed the towel in Buffalo.
UFC commentator and fighter Dominic Cruz also had something to say about Daniel Cormier, because during his own fight week, Dominic claimed that Daniel doesn't do his homework on fighters and is just in it for the money. He even claimed that Daniel was actively paying a researcher to analyze fights for him instead of doing it himself.
When it comes to DC, you know, I usually mute it. He doesn't do the homework. He wants to get in and out, make his money.
So they confronted each other about it in a sit-down interview.
Dominic, there's different ways to prepare for a fight than watching film. It was wrong of you to say what you said this morning.
Oh, so I'm wrong.
Because that was not fair of you as a colleague to do that publicly. Dom, that's not fair.
I'm not allowed to say what I feel?
Dom, not
I'm
publicly.
wrong
Dom,
now?
that's bullshit,
I'm wrong?
Dom. So I had a researcher that I would pay. He would give me all my notes and I would go and call the fights.
So how is that watching film?
But when
That's
I
your
stopped
job.
Dude, let me ask you a question. Did you think about doing that too? You did say it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But not all controversies end as well, because James Krause, who was a head coach for several UFC fighters, was fired for gambling on his students' fights. Back in March of 2022, James started a paid betting group which grew to over 2,000 members, some of which included UFC fighters. James even claimed that he was making more money from both gambling and the betting group's memberships than from actually coaching. One of his own fighters and member of the betting group even related James Krause's betting group to inside trading, going as far to say, the insight Krause has in this sport is insane. He's trained a lot of the fighters, and at times has the scoop on injuries, non-announced matchups, how fighters look in camp. In stocks, this is called insider trading. In MMA betting, it's called James Krause. This prompted an investigation by the FBI, which led them to discovering suspicious betting activity during one of this team's fights, where a considerable amount of money was placed on Derek Minner, one of Krause's fighters, to lose within the first round. And he did, due to an undisclosed injury which only Krause's team was aware of. And after exposing this to the UFC, James Krause was banned from the company, alongside every one of his fighters, and the UFC suspended any employee from betting on fights ever again. Another betting controversy comes from one of the UFC's hottest stars, Khamzat Chimaev, who randomly began promoting a meme crypto coin known as Smash.
Hello guys, there is one crypto coin about me, they call it Smash. Let's smash together guys, let's go.
This drove the value of the coin from $0 to nearly $2, and just 24 hours later, Khamzat, who owned a whopping 80% of the entire supply of this coin, sold everything, causing the coin to drop back down to $0, leaving all of his fans that had invested with nothing. Khamzat proceeded to delete all of his promotional tweets, but it was too late as the proof of him organizing a scheme on his own fans was already public. Even Sean Strickland spoke against him, saying, "I've been offered a ton of money to do this same exact thing. Crazy man, you're rich and still try to scam your fans." Rich and crazy, because after years of scandals, from attacking senior citizens to being recorded being a menace in public, sometimes with women that aren't his wife, many fans have speculated that the reason for Conor McGregor's strange behavioral change isn't just because of money, but addiction. You see, ever since Conor became less active in combat sports, his time spent partying and abusing substances was allegedly increasing, leading to Conor's erratic and strange behavior online. But despite any hard evidence of this, fans were sure that these theories were correct, as Conor was seen visibly shaking and having trouble with his speech, allegedly stemming from coming off drugs.
He has 75 movies made. I have 75 bar fights made. And that's it. I'm blessed to have entered into the movie alongside him.
But Alex Pereira is also dealing with some serious allegations because a woman on TikTok posted a story about having been assaulted by Pereira, a story which quickly gained traction online. But it only took a few days before the story crumbled, as several inconsistencies were noted in her retelling of the stories, and a DM of hers even leaked where she was bragging about how much money she's making from all of this attention. So what controversial moment did we miss? Comment below, and thank you.